Welcome to the Indie Author Showcase.
The last one of the year. Let's go. I love not doing this. Typo.
I'm Chad Robert Morgan.
And I am Alexander Scott Morgan.
And we are going to wrap up the year, our last podcast of the year, by doing our Best of Awards.
Which means that this is a clip show, so this is going to take less time on me. I mean this politely. I like doing the podcast right now. But also, God, am I so excited to be done for the year, and I don't have to worry or think about this anymore. I can't take this anymore. I can't take this.
I
Sorry.
don't know what you mean about a clip show, but yes.
Yeah, because we're going to have clips. After we give the awards, we're going to have clips.
Are you going to edit it?
Never mind. No clip show. I thought it was going to be a clip show because I don't think we have enough for a full episode, but we don't have enough for, like...
Well, I guess we'll have to see.
So I thought it'd be enough because we're award showing this. Oogly moogly. So, let's get into it.
See, we should have gotten dressed up for this. Put on a little tuxedo.
Well, I was well dressed this morning, but then I got home.
Yes, and you're hanging around shirtless around your girlfriend.
Yeah, and
then we told you to put a shirt on, which I think she was a little sad on that. I think I saw a little tear.
I was sad about that. You know. Sorry.
Don't rip your shirt.
Hey, do you need a napkin? Oh yeah, I got you.
Right. Anywho.
That joke is so tempting because this short is tight on me. It's
not.
No, like when I puff out my chest, it gets tight and it's uncomfortable, and I hate shorts and I hate clothes.
See what I have to live with?
God.
Yeah, that's not muscle. That's just old hormone. Anyway. So starting with our book of the year. So let's start with the rules. Okay.
We are banning one book.
No, not really banning, but
we are banning a book.
We're not banning a book. But we are going to cover books that have actually been read and reviewed this year. That means that Scott Meyer and Barry J. Hutchinson are disqualified. Because while we did do an episode about them, that was actually kind of a filler episode. We had actually read their stuff like
years.
In some cases, years. Yeah, I think the book of Scott Meyer's we reviewed was not that long ago, but it was still a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Although he does have a new book out now.
Woo!
And we could get the newest J.D. Kirk, which is what Barry J. Hutchinson's done, and put that on for this year's list. That's a possibility. But Brute Force and the entire Space Team saga we read that years ago. So that's going to be excluded from this year's awards. Not that they're not worthy, but
right.
You know, plus with Barry J. Hutchinson, we basically did like an entire 12 book series plus a 3-book spin-off. That's kind of a huge.
Yeah.
So, there wasn't actually a single book that we reviewed. So it would be kind of hard to do. So maybe next year we'll read something more current, but yeah, for this year we're excluding them. We do have one other person that we're excluding from the awards officially. We're going to give him an honorable mention, and that is Robert S. Campbell's The Rats Beneath the Walls.
Yeah, it's written by a friend.
Well, I mean, several of the books we reviewed, we've gotten on a good rapport with them, and I like to think of them.
Yes, but this one is your boss.
That's more of where I'm going to go with it.
Yes. Yeah. So we are excluding them because of
that
bias.
Is definitely a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
However, it is a excellent book, and from there, and because of that, we are going to give it an honorable mention.
Yes.
So The Rat Beneath the Walls has won our first honorable mention.
Yes. Next one, let's get to the gaba, Let's get to the gaba.
Well, we have one more honorable mention.
We do.
So our second honorable mention goes to Casey Cordell for her So You Survived the End of the World, parts 1, 2, and 3.
I didn't sign it because he thought it was peak and I thought it was kind of mid.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it was deserving. I still don't know why you didn't get this book.
I just thought it was kind of mid.
Also, because technically this is like 3 small books instead of 1 big book, so it's
Yeah.
also kind of cheating as well.
Yeah.
So we are going to give her honorable mention. We did not get a consensus on the awards. One of the problems of doing a show between the two of us is we don't have a tiebreaker.
No.
So here's what I figured we would do.
I get a choice, you get a choice.
So
I get a 1-2, he gets a 1-2.
yes, you're going to do your runner-up, and then you're going to do your winner. We're going to have 2 categories. We're going to have book, and then we're going to have comic/graphic novel, because we did quite a few of those.
Right.
Okay. So the person or book will receive the highest honor awarded. So therefore, we could have 2 first place winners
Right.
and 2 second place winners.
Right.
I figure that's the fairest way to do it.
Okay.
So let's start with your runner-up for book. What was your
For book? My runner-up was It's Alive.
So It's Alive is a fictionalized accounting of the creation of the movie Frankenstein.
Woo!
Um, the one thing I think we agreed on was we both listened to it on Audible, and we both struggled with the narrator at first. But after a while, he kind of grew on me.
Right.
I don't think he ever grew on you. I don't think you ever liked the narrator.
No, not really.
I didn't like him in the beginning, but after about maybe a quarter of the way in, I was in the zone, right? I was vibing it.
Right.
So it was, for me, the narrator was an acquired taste, and I finally got into the I mean, he read it well, right?
Right.
It wasn't like he was a bad narrator. It's just he had this very kind of monotone voice that I didn't jive with at first, but eventually I got on board and I rolled with it.
Right. You jived.
So my first runner-up, When Halloween Was Green by Bernard Keith Finnegan.
Yay.
So I thought this was an excellent book.
Right.
It was very deep in Celtic lore of the original holiday of Samhain, which is the origins of Halloween. The only thing that kept this out of the top spot for me was, while the story was fantastic, the book itself was in dire need of a line editor.
Yeah.
There were definitely some problems with the justifications, some punctuation marks that were missing, none of which really distracted me from the story, but just made it feel just that little bit more amateurish. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, with that said, we have read a lot of books. We've done about 25 episodes since we started this. And out of all that, this was like my second favorite book, in spite of the problems with the editing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So this was my second place.
Okay.
So, sending it back to you, what was your runner-up for best comic book/graphic novel?
Basketball by you read that. You read the names. You got this.
No, you got it. You're
Go
good.
close to the screen.
Cecilia Lim and Waverly Lim.
I'm clapping.
Any reason why this was your second runner-up or your
I'm
second place?
Filipino.
This is definitely a book by Filipino women about the Philippines. So yes, this is very deeply rooted in Filipino culture.
Yeah. I'm Filipino.
Yes. Okay. Is that the only reason like that was second place?
No, it's a good plot, but I'm Filipino.
Okay. Okay, so my first runner-up is. I was gonna say, I don't get a drum roll. Come on, what's my drum? Monster Vibes from the Monster Dimension.
You did it. Good job.
So Monster Vibes from the Monster Dimension. We have writer, director, and animator Phil Mucci. We have the illustrator and graphic novelist Mike Dubus and the team over there at diabolicfilms.com. So the reason why this is my runner-up is this one really harkened back to me the days of heavy metal. In fact, I think they commented on one of our podcasts that they too were influenced by heavy metal. So yeah, this is a very throwback to those times when comic books were more kidified. You know, they were more family friendly, and so we had these alternate comic books like heavy metal where people could explore more mature content.
Right.
And so I really appreciated that about this con. We actually reviewed this one and another one of theirs called Gringo Loco.
Right.
And Gringo Loco, I actually think was a better story. Um, but I went with Monster Vibes from the Monster Dimension because, again, it really tugged on that nostalgia bone for me, if that makes any sense.
Right.
That Gringo Loco didn't, even though I thought that was a better story. This one was really, yeah, it was definitely hitting the member berries.
Right.
But yeah, it's chock full of gore, monsters, sex, nudity,
God.
drug use.
God.
Yeah, you name it, it's pretty much in there.
Right.
So for your top spot in the comic book department is?
Myopia. The one currently covering my entire face.
So you want to talk a little bit about Myopia? Why
Yeah.
was this your top spot?
No, it had a solid story, if not a little bit text heavy for a comic. But the art was really good.
I would agree that out of all the comics and graphic novels we have done, this is probably the best illustrated. The illustrations in this thing are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Uh, no, the only problem is that like it's a lot text heavy for of it.
I did get a little lost in the story. There was a couple of bits in the story where I was like, this is a trope that's been done. Uh, why are these things happening when, for it felt some of the things were happening in the story because the plot demanded it as opposed to anything that made, logical sense. Um, so the story is very, very good, but it's dense, and I either lost a couple of steps or something was off with the story, one or the other. I couldn't figure out which.
Right.
But the art in that thing is absolutely stunning. That's for damn sure. I
Right.
agree with you on that 100%.
Right. So to
We still have our books of the year. So your top slot for book of the year is?
I See on TV by John Wayne Communale. I think I said that right. I liked it because I thought that the book was not only had like a good plot, but it was also kind of silly and goofy in a wacky way. It was really well written and goofy and silly, and so it's my number one.
I actually, this one was in my top three. I did feel that my first place winner was well received or well deserved a spot, and when Halloween was green was excellent. Um, so if we were doing a gold, silver, bronze category, he would have been my bronze
Right.
because he was right there on my top list. Um, what's funny is when we read this was one of the first books we read for the podcast, and my one complaint was how short it was.
Right.
After doing something like 25 episodes, I'm really starting to appreciate short books.
Yeah.
Um, it took us a couple weeks to get through when Halloween was green. That's almost 500 pages, right? It's like 450, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a short one.
it. Yeah, when Halloween was green, it's thick. Made me really appreciate the shorter form content of John's books. Most of his books are short like that. They are almost novellas.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was one of the better ones we read this year, and it definitely um would that was third on my list.
Right.
Speaking of top of my list,
Right.
It's Alive
Oh, we
by
already went.
Julian Stone. I thought that was probably out of all the books that we have read this year, that one keeps sticking up in my mind as the best one I've read.
Right. So.
All right, well, let's recap because as we said, the person we are going to rank it by highest,
Yes.
which means oh, I didn't do my best of comic.
No, you didn't.
I didn't do my best of comic. I'm getting ahead of ourselves. So, my number one comic best of is Mask of Halaya.
Wowzers.
I thought Mask of Halaya had the best combination of story and art. Again, as somebody who has married into the Filipino culture and has written a book about Filipino culture, I too kind of had a soft spot for a book that was written by Filipino women about the Philippines.
Right.
One of my best lines was in that first page of that first book when the mom's all bitching like they got every drug in this country but birth control.
Yeah.
I love that line. I thought it was hilarious. Um, and we've talked to them at several of these cons. They're great people. It's a great book. I'm hoping we get to meet them again at WonderCon because I think I only have what? I'm on episode 4, episode 5.
Right.
So I need to get caught up. Hopefully they got a couple more issues because it was really starting to get to the point where um, the story proper was getting started, right?
Right.
A lot of it more in the first few episodes is girl has strange powers she doesn't understand, weird things are happening. By the time you get around to the fourth episode, it's like, okay, we get it. This is a supernatural thing. Now we're going to start our training. We're going to start getting organized here, and you know the the big what the hell's happening is kind of I don't want to say resolved because there's still obviously a lot of a plot, but the girl's figured out that she's not just crazy,
Right.
right? So the story is just now getting started, and I'm looking forward to continuing that series.
Right. No, I think that one, with given enough time, it would be on my number one, but it just isn't yet because it needs time.
All right, so let's summarize. Okay, so for second place for comics, we have Murder Vibes from the Monster Dimension.
Right.
And yours was actually trumped, so that's our only second place winner.
Right.
Our first place winners are for comic book graphic novel is Myopia
Right.
and Mask of Halaya.
Yeah.
So for books, our first runner up is When Halloween Was Green.
Yep.
Our second runner up was also trumped by me. So our books of the year are It's Alive by Julian Stone and As Seen on TV by John Wayne. How do you pronounce his last name again?
Uh. Communale.
John Wayne Communale.
Yes. So, with that being said, we conclude our final episode of the year. Um, Bye.
Not even your traditional toodaloo.
I'm done.
Okay, so
I'm done.
Where can they find us?
ShopSpectreInc.com.
ShopSpectralInc.com, where you can buy any of our merch, both for our books or for the podcast. If you want to support the podcast, you want to support me as an author, please go to our website, buy our books, buy our merch.
Right.
We will also be at Creep IE at the end of January.
Right.
Later this year, we will be at WonderCon in Anaheim,
Mm-hmm.
and then Monsterpalooza in Burbank.
Woohoo!
Yep. Also, keep an eye out. We will be sending out emails once we get the promo code for discount tickets for Creep IE.
Right?
If you use our promo code and you get the discounted tickets, the person or vendor that gets the most promo codes cashed in gets a free booth for next year. So if you want to support the podcast, you live in the area, you're planning on going to Creep IE anyway, or you were thinking about it, use our promo code. It would really help the podcast.
Quite gay.
What?
As in happy.
and,
Anyways, bye.
and with that, we're canceled.
Anyways, bye. I'm done. It's been a good year. Bye.
Until next year.